Okay, it's day 178. This is part four, and just talking a little bit about DynCorp, how DynCorp acts as a contractor for the CIA, how Jeff Epstein is DynCorp, and how Epstein's Island and before that around Miami, just north of Miami, up near Jupiter, Florida, there was potentially an operation for a Red Sparrow type operation. Now, I've called it Natasha's. You can call it Rostanet's. The idea is when you take over a country, you take the most promising individuals, both intellectually as well as maybe attractive, and you raise them and you put them in homes across the United States and so forth, and you have foster parents raise them until they can be brought up and used as operatives, either overseas because of their language skills. This would be the Huma Abedin type of example, or a Muhammad Mustafa type example in Arkansas, or an Imran Awan type of example with all the different Awans coming and going from Pakistan, etc. And this type of operation here being run by a guy named Tyler Drumheller, mainly in Europe, mainly with the different conflicts that happened in Kosovo and Bosnia and all over the Eastern Europe, basically. So the question is, are the different people that are coming over that are now kind of coming into the story being famous, the chalupas, are the chalupas really the stuff that the girls that got picked off from Ukraine? Is that really what a Bogacheva is? Is that really what a these different girls, these Rostanets, are in Florida? Is there a similar operation going on in Virginia with the Awans, etc.? So the Red Sparrow, if you haven't seen the trailer, it would be good to watch. And obviously, Q's focusing a lot on Epstein's Island, but there's similar places, training areas, and so forth. Julian Assange was in one in the Dandenongs in Australia, for instance. Obviously, Jeff had a New York location. He also had a Long Island location where I believe that there was a kind of one of these kind of training centers. And they kind of always look like academies. They always kind of look like academies, private academies. And you'll see this in the history of Peter Thiel and so forth, of all these people that are kind of coming up. And it makes sense. You control the outputs by controlling the inputs. So this is going to become, I think Q is going to start focusing in on this operation here on Epstein's Island. The problem with all of these things, and again, this is the log, the flight log that the Paul Rodriguez did. He was the butler. Unfortunately, died. There was another reporter that I might have known named Paul Rodriguez, worked for the Washington Times, also died young. And I might have been familiar with this operation through my roommate and so forth, and her Secret Service husband. But the problem with these color of law operations is they quickly turn into, if you have a person like this, Hillary Clinton or Sid Blumenthal, it quickly turns into influence peddling. With a Tyler Drumheller, it quickly turns into compromise. It sounds like a great idea from a national security point of view. We want to raise all these kids. We want to control the outputs by controlling the inputs. But it quickly devolves into something much more, unfortunately, sinister when you start selling influence, and then you start saying, well, we need to go younger and younger, et cetera, to do compromise. So I just wanted to say that. We're going to be going to Racine today. Obviously, people think of Racine as being kind of a very conservative little area. Extremist, I guess, would be the maybe what to say, John Birch Society, all this type of thinking. People that are willing to do extreme things all sometimes can make a union across, let's say, across political boundaries. Like there may be a very racist group in South Carolina at the Citadel, for instance, in Columbia, South Carolina, of these kind of ex-Navy captains, et cetera, or people in the kind of this Navy Masons clique within the CIA, and they could meet up and make pay-to-play agreements and arrangements with other pockets of this extreme thinking. That's why we're going to Racine. That's why we think people may be getting police may be getting thrown in the river. Why reporters are getting thrown in the river. Why police chiefs and judges get thrown in the river. Same things happen in New York. Just happens in Racine a lot more. That's why we're going.